Elon, this is Joseph Andrew Jensen Sr. again, and this is for the world to see too. It's just kind of it's a lot of fun because God's messing with me now, and He's telling me when you deliver uh, North Korea and South Korea to unite them, uh, get them to work together on what you already know, and you got jets that can go Mach Mach 3, Mach 4, Mach 5. Go from there to warp speeds. This is crazy. I'm talking about nobody's gonna mess with North Korea or South Korea again. Don't let the Chinese in on this, or the United States or Russia. Just like we're talking about warp speed stuff. You know what I'm saying? Uh, 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 they're going to copy whatever you got if they try to capture it, but they're not going to try to compete with you. It's like it's a funny what'll happen with this world. It's going to change overnight. But you've already developed stuff that's going warp speeds and not my Mach speeds. You left you left the sound barrier behind, and now you're going the speed of light and talking about even faster. My God. So what I'm saying, that's how God thinks. That's how God does. He's a character. When God starts telling me stuff like that, I mean, that just get. I mean, it's like, okay, who would guess? Even, China would die to have that kind of power over some of the United States and Russia too. But it's to show people they have to get together and how much you can advance if you work together towards today. Because we're gonna even they're gonna need our help, their minds and stuff. But don't use it to weaponize themselves or gain power, but to use it to get across the galaxies. We're gonna need to learn everything we can have to learn about wormholes. And believe it or not, this is something we haven't told you about. But God's put it and now telling me about it. Yeah, I told you the angels were coming because heaven's on earth. They're going to be a select few that are taught way advanced stuff, and you're one of them. I'm going to learn a lot of stuff that you never heard before, not never thought of before, and they are going to communicate. You want to know these aliens that visit us, how advanced we've seen them and known. I mean, things like that. They're not going to be a mystery to you, or few. I won't be one of those few either because I'm not into that. I know they exist. I know there's people that there can heal cancer. They can heal any part of the body. In fact, I'm hoping I live long enough to receive stem cells, especially in my eyes, because I have macular degeneration. I would love to be able to afford stem cells being placed in my eyes, or even my joints. Where I have new bone growth, collagen, things like that, like a child. I do know in a way too. This will really sound crazy to you, Elon, and I'll try not. I might put it on YouTube, but maybe not. It'd be funny to put it on YouTube, but nobody can say that Noah's not still alive. Okay, Noah's home was built directly over Methuselah's palace, about 2,000 foot below it, in the deep caverns. And there's deep caverns at the bottom going all the way down. It could be even double 2,000. It could be 4,000 feet. But it's down in the caverns below. It's the Pison River, the hidden river that nobody knows where it's at. Well, there's people that know who it's at. The angels drink from that river every day. Fallen angels couldn't be there, so they died. They're dead, or they soon will be. Because anybody that drank from it, they lived 1,000 years, or could have lived 1,000 years. Methuselah would have lived 1,000 years, but he didn't get on the ark. He only put 40 chests on the ark. He could have lived and written more. But they went with Noah, and the children were Noah, but they weren't in Babylon. They didn't go to Babylon. Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, they left their father. They stole horses. They stole treasure from their father, because down in those caverns was all the stuff that Nebuchadnezzar had in his palace. I'm talking about rubies, emeralds, gold, the thing called bdellium, petrified resins that they burnt like frankincense, that they even chewed to keep their teeth clean. It's a resin. It was like frankincense. It's worth its weight in gold. This incense, it kept away mosquitoes. It cured. It was a cure for a lot of things. Back then, what was in the Garden of Eden was called bdellium, similar to frankincense or myrrh, which were spices that were similar. They all had similar qualities. They burned them for all kinds of reasons, as a scent, for mosquito control, fly control, things like that. Anyway, the idea is that if the world gets hold of this, here's this video, this sense of humor, this is what it's going to learn. They'll learn because the angels will point out where the gold's at. They'll say, dig here, dig there. You're going to the wrong place. You're getting warmer. You get colder. You know what I'm saying? They'll be playing games with us. And wherever they point their finger, it's going to be the mother lode. You see what God does? See, He changes people, because the dreams that God gives you is how man works, how God works. He's a character. God is he's humorous, but believe me. Remember, I said in tongues when he says kapote, shila kapote. Now, when he said kapote, that means like my name's Ai. Kapota means my name, right? Kapota Ai. Okay, so when God says Kapota Ai, He's saying I'm Ai, right? But He says Sheila, like He's told me a billion times, it seems like. Sheila Kapota Ai means listen, I am God. Sheila Kapota Ai, it's like, okay, shut up, I am God, listen. It's like, okay, when He gets serious, when He gets serious. And God can do that. He does it to me. And why am I the only person in the world that can hear God? For God would say God lives in all of us. That means everybody's distanced themselves so much from God that they can't hear God. It's just strange to me. I feel like Elijah felt. But God pointed out to Elijah, you're not alone. There's a lot of people that do. Well, I wish I knew them. I wish I could know even one of them. I haven't found them yet. That's why I'm calling every religion out. Don't preach or teach about God if you can't even listen to God. If you can't even, you can't do God's will. You haven't done it. And furthermore, this got to be brought out. I saw the attacks. I've been watching the attacks on Joel Osteen. God and I were at Joel Osteen's church. He's a great guy. And he's speaking the truth. He knows the truth. He knows it, but he doesn't know it. He knows God's living in us. or he hasn't really been introduced in that way to God. But you can tell the difference. And what he's saying is true. Sure, he wouldn't associate himself with homosexuality, and things of this world. But all his accusers are hypocrites. Teachers that they think they are gods on this earth. All the people pointing their fingers. You're liars, you're hypocrites, and you say that you're going to hell. You're going to hell. If you don't know God, Jesus, you're going to hell. They've been saying that, and they've been saying children are going to hell for all until it's like that's the only way. It's got to be that way. They're saying it's got to be that way. They don't even let God have a thought. The worst people in the world are the Christians, being the judges of people, pointing the fingers and calling themselves holier than the holy. They're worse than the Sadducees and Pharisees and all. They follow the Antichrist, for God's sake. He listened to my thing. It's God pointed it out to me, and I was there in Palestine to get the proof. But he says, no, I've done my job. I can prove it. I'll let you guys prove it. I'll tell you what you think. You go to Jerusalem and get anybody to turn over all the records that happened. Prison records and things that happened in 68 AD and 64 AD. Find out if Peter's crucifixion upside down and his brother Andrew's crucifixion was public. If anybody got to talk to them, or was it done in secret? Find out. They kept it hidden. And when they put John on the island of Patmos, where could they put him there to keep anybody from talking to him? He didn't write Revelations. They were killed. Paul and Mark were killed because they came out with Revelations in 4 years later, after Peter was missing for 4 years, from 64 AD to 68 AD, and then come out with 2 John, 3 John, 2 Peter, 3 Peter, and Revelations. And they said, these can't be the writings of Peter. They can't be the writings of John. Where are they? There's no way these are going to be the writings of them, or this one that they call Revelations. I've seen these words before. How could John have written them? They're the words that were written by Mark. These things, the words of Revelation, are written in Corinthians. They're written in all through the New Testament. It was written and penned by Paul or Mark or together. The plot, they were the wolves in sheep's clothing, but the mastermind was Paul. And he's given his job by Nero when he took the throne. He went from being a tax collector. He got a pay raise to infiltrate the Christian church, the early Christian church. Why do you think that they always wanted an interpreter? Why do they always want to have even call for people to prophesy? You know what prophesy is? It's to make up anything. Tell us anything. We'll believe that rather than believe in things. God, when you speak in tongues, why am I the only one that knows? When tongues speaks in tongues, I know this now. I didn't know it then, but that's God's talking. I knew that back then when I got the gift of tongues when I was 50 years old, that it was a language that wasn't meant to be translated. Not word for word. Because God talks subliminally, like ESP. That's how God talks. It's like a sermon when God talks to me most of the time. Or it's like the funniest story he ever told. It's like what I was getting through. God has ranges of the way he talks. And I can't even keep up. There's not a program out there. And you got spell check now is gone beyond spell check. It's gone to writing stuff before you even put it down, and you spend more time trying to stop them from keep on writing their own thing. They're not even writing the story you want to tell. This A&I has got out of hand. It was stupid. You're talking about something that thinks it's smarter than we are is dumber than rocks. It can't tell the difference between a C and a C. You know, CEE and the letter C. Or what and the what. Or which and which. It can't tell these differences. It's stupid. You got to argue with a computer. And you can't argue with it because it has no means to argue. You just got to erase what it has, and you might as well not have the program starting out with. But A&I has its place. It's a useful tool, but still it needs to be kept in the dark. Don't let it know what you're doing. Just like God. God ultimately knows everything. You think Jesus knew what God knew? There's no way. Jesus only lived 33 years. How could he have learned everything God knows? He only learned but so much. And he got a lot of if it's wrong. It's what we're dealing with, because Jesus himself did not realize God lived inside us. He's got people looking up into the stars in the sky. By the way, he wrote it. But he didn't know about DNA. He didn't know about all the unborn. He didn't think about the unborn. Sure, he knew how to heal somebody. That's a proven. That's a given. But he actually claim to be as smart as anything either. He kind of basically was saying in his wording that he was learning. He was a student. But the point is, we don't talk about God unless you know God. And let God do the talking, you do the listening. Why am I the only one that knows that what God's saying? I don't know what he's saying when they speak in tongues. I speak in tongues, but I don't know what I'm saying. I kind of have an idea what I'm saying because that's what's going through my head. God's letting me know subliminally, not the words, but what's going through my head is what God's saying. That's the way God speaks. And if God's telling you something or has something to say, the people know it. It's proven when you see a person actually speaking in tongues in a service, and you see that, you could hear, sometimes you can hear, I've seen a fog come down inside church where the people's eyes and heads got so heavy they couldn't even hold it up. You could hear a pin drop. Even the babies went silent. The dogs outside didn't bark. Everything just gets that way. And I've written about that in my other books. It's a real thing. Pentecostal belief is a real thing. It's not an evil thing either. You know, people back in the old days, they would burn somebody at the stake for this kind of stuff. No. Because Jesus was a healer, they about did that to him. Healing on the Sabbath day. All kinds of things. Self-righteous idiots. This is what they're doing today. I'm going to leave it at that. You guys have heard enough, but this is a funny part of it. This is part of the fun of God. I mean, he gives people, he can come up with stuff that's absolutely, I mean, could you imagine if Russia and China were knocked off their pedestal with the United States of being dominant, and somebody as small as North Korea? The only reason North Korea and South Korea were separated was because Japan's. when Emperor Maggie was given 2 pirate ships from every country, the Dutch, to Spain, to France, Italy, England, and the United States gave them all their uniforms and their guns, all the cannons that were used during the Civil War, repeating rifles, machine guns, new technology. So that it didn't end up in the North's hands. They made sure it got to China or to North Korea. I mean, rather they get to Japan. The Japanese emperor, it really hurts me because I was a martial artist. Every monk, and the monks were pure. They didn't use weapons at all. They didn't even use bows and arrows and spears like they said. That was later. That was after they had Japanese influence. The Japanese invented those type of weapons. But the Buddhist monks knew Kempo. Well, so you guys know what a Kempo is. It's a martial arts that only uses hands, and they use their head. They won't give you time to draw your sword. They're going to rush you. They rush you. They come out of nowhere because they've been watching you, and next thing, they're at you. They're not like ninjas. They come running at you, and before you can get your leg up and get in position to kick, they're all over you. And there's no fight in Kempo. There's no second strike. They're not going to give you a chance to hit. They're going to break your leg, dislocate you, dislocated, break your feet, break your fingers, break your hands, but they're not going to kill you. But they will mess you up. That's what Kempo's all about. It's the willingness to stop a fight. Not with a gun, that's how they got defeated, because all of them were killed at a distance by the guns. They were shot and then beheaded. They took the samurai and they shot them way from a distance, and then they took their heads. That's what and who made them do that? The United States, Portugal, France, England, Spain, the coalition that were in all these governments. It was a coalition that they all donated to Magi because when he turned 16, they made him emperor because they had planned it. They started getting him ready for that to go up against his father. When he was a 10-year-old, and they were preparing for that takeover when he got to be 16 and inherit everything. Okay, there's a lot I know and a lot this world needs to learn, and they will learn a lot, especially more from God and the angels, okay, that are coming. Good night.